Hello, this is yet another continuation of the Carter Building Rehabilitation Project. It is April 4th, 2019. I had to look at my watch. I don't think there's going to be much to show you here except a recap of what's going on, with the exception of this big trench that's being dug. I wonder what that's for. Probably utilities. Probably run conduit, as I hear something fall off the building. Yeah, it might just be something unimportant. So as we were last here, we got some more, I believe that would be floor joist material. Oh, we see a lot of rebar and stuff like that. Of course, we got the concrete block, which they are using for interior walls, where the brick ones were not far enough along. And I believe they're starting to get ready with the floors, because we got, yep, we already got floorboard material. Looks like plywood. So, I mean, they are getting ready. There's joists on the inside, and I think if I go back, they had to have started putting in floors at some point, because the former boys' entrance is dark. So there's probably new floor in there somewhere. Although that stairwell, it probably is just probably that stairwell section, also known as the brick stairs back in the Carter and high school days. There's nothing new to see in that window over there. But as I said, it's kind of a recap, so we'll just do it anyway. That's the second floor. Looking through the first floor window, they had little closets along the side. That's what that went to. And then, just so you don't have to watch a bobbing camera, I'll zoom out as I move along. Nothing more to see. Again, it's the same thing. I believe they're going to leave the brick for the auditorium / gymnasium / whatever the third floor was. And speaking of third floor, there's the steel beams that held up the auditorium ceiling and the start of the third floor. Although it's interesting to see the other supportive structure that goes along the third floor there. Right there, the beams that are underneath it. So, I don't think we got anything more we're going to show you here. We're going to look through the Hall Street window again, and as I always say, and I'll say it again because it's a different video and it's going to be uploaded quite a long time from now. Actually, come to think of it, I think now that I'm looking at these, those 2x10s or whatever, they're probably just for forms, because we got cement here and it's all covered in cement. So they've been doing forms, and speaking of such, we can kind of see that here. Actually, they're doing yeah, you can kind of see the brick walls they're starting to build up through the door right there. They're building up the brick walls. There weren't any brick walls to remove there. In fact, while I'm here, I might as well take a photo to put on Facebook for the Leominster groups. All right. So what I was getting at is, for a while I thought they were putting in a stairwell. That's not really the case. It's just, when we were looking at it initially, we had a window that was completely covered in dew, so we couldn't see anything. So then, as I drift, so then it cleared up. We saw a vestibule. They took down the vestibule, so I thought they were putting a new staircase in, which in fact it was the old one that they ripped out, hence why we can see clear through the building as we are right now. Down there is the, that's the, heading up to the second floor, the halfway point. What you can barely see to the right, and up to the second floor there. There's not much really more to show you, except they're starting to build up the walls on this side. And the funny thing is, they're actually more this way than the actual building was. Because we had classrooms, they went this way, then they jutted out this way and that way. But as we can see, as we talk over the loud music, but not enough to matter much, it seems that the wall that it's not focusing on is staying flush with the original brick wall right here. It'll be interesting to see how it's coming along. Now that it's getting warmer, they don't have to tarp up things, which is what all the tarps were, to try to keep the area warm so that they could cure cement for the footings and foundations that they've added to the building. I'm still surprised they kept some of the old beams. Wonder what they're going to do with those. Anyway, let's go around. I definitely believe they are getting ready to put floors in, because here we are, big stacks of the plywood right here, engineered lumber. It doesn't really look very thick, but it could be just the way the lines were printed on the boards. Oh, actually, there's a board right there. You can actually see, that's actually pretty thick. In fact, it kind of says it right there, 23rd, 30 seconds. Now we can kind of see what's going on in the front, and we'll, not a whole lot, but they've deboarded some windows, and you can see that they definitely are starting to build up the interior walls. Let's see what we can see. I mean, right now they haven't got to this level, but you can definitely see in this window that they're ready to continue upwards. And they're getting rid of most of the windows at this point. You can kind of see there, the ones that are boarded up, the old steel windows, the old steel clad, I think they were, whatever they did in the 70s. They're starting to remove them, because even in that boarded up window you can see a gap. So they're getting ready to head up, and while I zoom out, we can look through the basement windows that are unboarded, and you can definitely see the concrete block to make the walls. Now, one question I do have is, are they going to put Carter School Apartments on the front door, or are they going to leave, for the sake of historic nature, the Leominster High School sign? I think it would be good if they left that. Then we got a big trailer that's kind of blocking things. Mobile Mini. Yeah, we're gonna head over to the other side, but you can see through this window that they have made the block walls for the and that's just, the basement's so dark it's covered with scaffolding that they can't really see. And again, you can see the scaffolding there. So next week we probably will actually see some concrete walls through these windows. So once again, I'm going to try and get a photograph for the Leominster groups. There we go. And we'll see you on that side over there. Well, a while ago I was wondering what those odd staircases were that were on the ground. Well, now we see there's sets of them that you can climb the scaffolding with. Makes sense. Anyway, I don't see anything more here. It looks like the concrete block has only gone to a certain height. My guesstimate is they stop at a certain height and then might be too unstable to continue before putting in any floors. That's my guess. I could be entirely wrong. And over here in the basement, we have a hole that's blasted through the original brick wall. I don't know if you can see that, or you can see in. I don't have this set up for let me look inside, but yeah, actually that's a gymnasium door they just blew a hole into. It probably is showing up just fine. And then again, here's the brick wall to the auditorium that they are not going to touch because you got a giant steel truss that's practically a train truss. So yeah, nothing's happened here, but they're starting to build the walls up front, as you can see. So there's definitely progress, just not on this side, which, hey, you know, get the whole thing up to speed and not have everything all lopsided. So when they start putting in floors, they don't want to, you know, do one side, then do the middle, then do the other end. Have it all synced up together. Makes perfect sense. And like I said, only wall's like almost 30 feet tall and only 8 inches thick. It's probably a bit unstable if they went higher, until they put the floors in. Just a guess. Again, this is mostly a recap video. We got the trusses there for the floors. We got these giant recycling piles here, some brick, and of course, still some guts of the original building. It's probably focusing on the fence more than the stuff there. Can't really see anything more at all on this side. It's all the same, especially now that this thing keeps growing and they spread it out further. Can't really see into the former gymnasium anymore. So yeah, the concrete wall has stopped here for the time being. There's still rebar. If we zoom in, you can see the rebar going out of the, just a hair there, but more so over here. It's ultimately going to keep going up, but for now, they're just trying to get the rest of the building caught up to this side, which they were able to do. So that'll be it. Come back a little later with more progress. April 21st, 2019. Well, now we know what the regular joists are going into, which I thought would be why. The shorter spans. So they're starting to frame in the first floor decking for the center of the building. And now they're deboarding the basement windows. This used to be the men's bathroom over here and the boys' shower over here. Those walls in entirety are long gone. And you can see here through the first floor window the new brick wall, which goes inward towards the center, reaches all the way to the second floor. They've pretty much stopped there. This is the only side that hasn't got any flooring or what have not, but we have deboarded windows, what's left of them. So yeah, what's amazing is they punched a hole in, I mean, that's a load-bearing wall. Kind of amazing that there's a giant hole and even a corner missing. Well, I think they know what they're doing, I think. Got the steel beams that they're not moldy, they've rusted out for being exposed to the elements for so long. And moldy, damp environment. So they'll build their own concrete wall again for this side and put the trusses in from the concrete wall to the holes similar to that on those walls into here. So they're reusing the joist. They're reusing the joist holes that were originally in the building. They blasted away a huge chunk of it. there's an entry, rear entry to the auditorium. That was the front entry, and secondary gymnasium entrance there. I'm still surprised that they've kept the closets. I think that's what those are. So let's turn on the let's look inside button and see if we can see in. Yeah, it's pretty much a storage, It's a closet. And yeah, we can't really see much in that one. All right, turn it down. But they have, they deboarded the big window, completely removed everything. So now that staircase is fully exposed, and there's no rail from second to third floor. And again, you can see the joist making the first floor. And they haven't put floors yet, so I believe on this side yet. And of course, they haven't done anything here. Interesting. Let's head around the front. Well, there was nothing really different to show you in the front. We already showed you that the brick walls have met the second floor. Wow. Yeah, you can kind of see it from here. Just a tiny edge of it, but it has met the second floor. Nothing to really show you there. The big window deboarded and mostly removed. You can see the staircase a little bit. The steel frame when I expose it like that. As I drift. And again, turn this up. Okay, now I lost what the button was supposed to do. There we go. There we go. We now have fully sheathed floors. As you can see here, the longer spans have those trusses, which you can see right there. Also, if I keep it zoomed in, you can see they've put some blocks of woods on the side, blocks of woods. Yeah, I are good at English. They're putting blocks of wood on the windows to accept new windows. And I've seen the picture of what they look like, and they don't exactly look like what was here originally. Still, they're not bad. Now, most of these windows that are going to be on the sides, they're going to pretty much look almost exactly like they did. And if I remember to, I'll hopefully put a image of what they are going to look like. First floor, they're kind of a hybrid. If you remember, you can kind of see the brown metal casings. It used to be a double hung with a transom. The originals were just double hungs. They're kind of a hybrid. It's got the transom, but they look like the older windows as well. Second and third floor, they're going to look pretty much like the ones that were originally there, with the exception of the middle sets. And I'm going to be over here so you can see what I'm talking about. The middle sets that exist, they're going to be like these. The windows go from top to bottom, but if you look, especially here at the third floor, there's a transom section. They have completely missed that, unless that design was old and they're changing it. But if the windows go all the way from bottom to top, they got it wrong. Now, the one thing they cannot replicate, and I've mentioned this way earlier, are the swivel panes. That's just not a thing. So the double hungs, that is obviously something that they can't really replicate. And here again, you can kind of see the second floor. They have a transom as well. That's not going to be in the original plan, so they kind of got that wrong. But you know what? It's better than watching this thing rot and fall apart, that's for sure. So I also wonder if they're going to fix these stairs on both this street, the name that I keep forgetting, it's a tiny side road, and the Hall Street side. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to see much more of anything. There's a framing up there that I didn't see. Wonder what that's for. There's some boards up there. Anyway, let's just hurry over to the back. So everything but the third floor has a floor. Well, the third floor has a floor, but there's no ceiling to it yet. I don't think there's anything more that we can show you. Except that they deboarded the gutted quote-unquote brick stairwell. Yeah, there's nothing more that we can show you. You can kind of somewhat see inside the quote-unquote brick stairs, but it's just a gutted shaft. That's all there is for now, so next update, maybe we'll see some windows installed. If not, maybe some more floorage. Maybe we can get some more viewpoints. See, this is what I'm talking about, the middle windows. See, there's a window and there's a transom section above it. And again, a window and a transom section above it. On the front, the windows are just going straight. The double hungs are just going from bottom to top. No transom. That's not the way it was. But like I said, maybe limitations, maybe budget. It's better than just watching this whole thing fall down. And now I'll say I'm done with this. And the reason they leave this ladder hanging around is apparently Mario's trying to get to the princess that's up there, and Donkey Kong keeps throwing barrels. Do I see framing in those stairwells? Anyway, before we get to the real meat and things, I've learned some things about this building. You notice those two windows up there at the very top? Might be a reason why they're so short. From what I heard from somebody who was talking to the contractor who works on this, these back stairwells never existed in the original building. They're an add-on. Now that you look at the contrast of the brick, you can kind of tell. They did match it up pretty well, though. And those short windows, they were probably full size, and each floor had it. Probably not the auditorium. Framing? Looks like it. They got those boarded up. Probably starting the stairwells. Speaking of, let's actually get started. And there's the bridge truss again. May 4th, 2018. Well, this building still be falling apart at that point. 2019. Deboarded. They're ready to start the floors on this side. You can kind of see the go up to the, so we can focus in on what we're looking at. They've started the brick walls on this side. It's starting to move along. It's hard to see, but they got the framing for the third floor already. For that side, the brick walls, they haven't gone up all the way there yet. Zoom out. They're actually working right now. It's Saturday. Sunday's supposed to be crappy. No, it looks like they just framed them. Oh no, they actually did put a floor in. Interesting. I guess this is where we hit our look inside button. And then turn our look inside button. Yeah, they got floors. That's the first floor looking into the second, and of course now it's going to start raining. And you can see the first floor. They pretty much got the first floor done here. They're getting ready for the second, and we don't need that now. Right there. You don't have too much to see right now. See if we see anything on the other side. Well, we know we will. They completely removed the whole window assembly there on the stairwell window. Anyway, let's look at the other side, or the front, whatever shows us something. There's the trusses up close and personal used for the flooring, replacing the big fat wooden joists that used to be around. They have completely deboarded the building, except for the doors. Nothing really to see here. I just want to take a, picture for Facebook, and there, I missed the button. There's the photo button I'm looking for, and there we go. Turn on our Let's Look Inside button, and yeah, we can operate now. Yeah, it's doing a capture right now. It's still, okay, it's done making the picture. All right, can we cooperate now? There we go. Cooperation, it's a thing we can try. As you can see, we got the first floor pretty much ready to go. Basement level, well, with all the surrounding lighting, it's a bit hard to see. But for the most part, everything up to the second floor is completely done. But from what I saw walking here, I think they got the third floor on the far end done. Let's come over here. Let's go a little further this way. All right, now let's hit our button and ramp that up a little bit. And yep. Oh, actually, I'm not sure, but I believe that is where the elevator shaft's going to go, behind that doorway, which, by the way, is for the apartment, not for the elevator shaft. Because when we look up here, shut off this thing. There we go. You can see there's a gaping hole between the brick wall and the back. And you can see the brick wall is all the way up to the second floor. They've reached all the way up on the other side. We will be going to the other side pretty soon. As the trees are blooming, it's getting harder to see, but I've posted on Facebook. If this doesn't scream, if that part doesn't scream Led Zeppelin, I don't know what doesn't. Stairway to Heaven. But they have they are starting the third floor. And other thing I've heard from the guy who was talking to contractors is there's supposedly going to be 4 apartments in the attic. That'll be interesting to see. Speaking of things interesting to see, if we can find a safe spot to get in, now that the overgrowth is starting to take its shape. They're framing in for the windows, as you can see. Brand new framing for brand new windows. We don't need to continue here. Just see what we can see on the inside. Besides, they're just putting the structure in for the first, the second, third needs it. Basement, we're not going to be able to see much because of the surrounding light. It's just going to blur out, and it's just a concrete wall anyway. So they got the framing for the new windows in place. So I bet we're going to be seeing some new windows soon. And construction people over there in the upper left, they're looking down, looking at me saying, what the hell is this idiot doing recording this building? Actually, they're busy doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm watching where I'm going and not the camera. So hopefully it's aiming at what I'm aiming at. Kind of was a little off. So it's a little bit difficult to control. Oh, they actually do have the framing for the windows all the way up to most of the third floor. Those two haven't been done yet, but everything else over here has, except The stairwell, I think they have started. That's all we got for now. Nothing really more to show you. It's starting to come along, and I'm sure at some point windows will be coming. And they've got a ton more floor joists that have come in. Oh boy, do they have a ton of floor joists. And I'm surprised I haven't got rid of these piles yet. Anyway, that's what we have for you right now. Nothing that I know of has been done with the auditorium, gymnasium, / whatever was the third floor section. I did an addition of all the segments that are on this building right now, and we are going to stop this particular segment with this one. And from here it looks like nothing has happened. But that's a little further from the truth, especially when we get back here and we have to once again probably end in the playground. They're extending the stairwell all the way up because, as I've heard, there were going to be some apartments in the basement, and later on you will see that it is fact because they've done over a particular part of the building to accommodate windows, and through there you can kind of see there's framing. So they're already framing part of it. So I guess the attic section is going to be wood framed and everything else is block. And of course here on this side you don't see anything. Through the gymnasium, nothing's been done with the back. I wonder what they're going to do with that. I wonder if they're going to do the whole structure on all sides here and then attack that, being that the brick wall will have something holding it together, because the inner brick walls were not held up by much. The one thing you can definitely see is they have gone the 2 floors so far with the new concrete block walls. See the second there, and the top of the first there. And you can see the wood trim that's going to be used to hold the joists, the steel truss joists that ultimately wind up in the actual walls of the building. And they have stopped at the second level, so they deck the first and second, so they can put the window trim in for all 3 major floors. And as you can see here, more of the steel. So my guess is they're going to wait till there's structure on all 3 sides. Then the big brick wall for the auditorium / gym will be removed. That's a guess, unless they're going to work around it. And then they'll work on the inside because it's a thin wall with support. And as I've mentioned before, there were sections of that wall that were torn out. And it makes sense now because they're doing some work for the attic. There's going to be apartments, so of course you can't have a solid brick wall there, apparently. So let's not head around quite yet. I don't know if we'll see anything on this side. Problem is when they start putting in windows, yeah, they boarded up that window. So we can't see in that way now. We can definitely see in here that we'll turn on the look inside button. Not that it's going to matter much, but you see the bottom of the rafters. We've shown you what those look like. And the steel beams, we'll turn it off, that have completely rusted through. And there's the secondary entrance into the gym. This whole side's completely blown out. Yeah, our visual thing is no more. And what I find interesting here is, now I know why they removed the stairwell. Apparently there's not going to be a stairwell in this location. As you can see, they've laid out the joist all the way to the window. So I guess they're keeping the staircase that's on the other side, the stairway to heaven, as I call it, as it stands now. Or they're going to replace it and put stairwells elsewhere? I don't know. But you can see that we'll turn on the look inside button again. And we lost it. Okay, hit exposure. And now crank it up slightly. You can see the joist running through. And it's a truss nut joist. You can see some of the old brick is delaminated. Because after the first floor, it's actually beams holding up the second and third floor of the central area. So this is what I find interesting. They apparently have kept the stairwell on the other side. We'll find out for sure. But they didn't on this side. I thought they probably would rebuild it. Well, we know they got the stairwells on the back that they're going to keep. I'm just surprised they're not keeping this one. This is probably going to be a main entry. It's a guess. Let's see what's happening up front, if we can see anything. Again, here are the trusses. And the meat that they're biting into are 2x4s right here. And this is the steel part that goes to the brick walls that you saw earlier. And my belief that they didn't get the front section windows right seems to be proven here. If I recall, I'll put in a rough drawing of what the original versus what they're putting in is going to look like. But you know what? Better this than rotting and falling apart. So like last time for the Facebook Leominster groups, I'm going to take a picture of the building right now, which is the extra noise you're hearing. Currently, oh, I hit the wrong button. Alrighty, and photo. There it is. Hit the right button, photos might happen. So as you can kind of see in the second section, the windows are going to go from bottom to top. But if you remember seeing the building before it was boarded up in some of the other videos, that's not how it went. Okay, since I've talked to the Leominster groups and they say that even the revision looks exactly like it used to, this is a rough drawing of what it used to look like and what they're going to be doing. For the first floor, the originals, we're talking only the midsections here, was the swivel windows and an arched transom on both sides. In the 70s, when they replaced the windows, they kind of got rid of the arch and just plain old brown steel windows. If they wanted to do an accurate reproduction, they would look like the originals, but would have the double hung, obviously, because the swivel thing is something you're just not going to do. And the transoms would either be rounded like you see there, or flat to more mirror that of what was there in the 70s. What appears to actually be going in is close to that. It might have the arched windows at the top or not, but the way it looks like they're framing it, it's probably not going to have them. They're going to have the mutton bars going across the middle of each window sash, which is not an accurate rendition. As for the second floor, again, it's the same as the first without the arch, and there was no 70s redo. An accurate reproduction would pretty much look the same, except the swivel windows would be double hung. Instead, it's going to pretty much look like the rest of the building, and it's just going to lose its pizzazz that it originally had. Again, not quite looking like the original. Finally, the third floor. These windows were a little shorter, so the transom section seemed to take just a little more space than the other ones did. So the bottom ends were slightly shorter. Again, swivel window, replacement, accuracy would be the double hungs as you see there. But what they're going to do is they're going to run all the way from the bottom to the top. Again, if they're trying to make it quote-unquote just like you remember it, not really. Now, I'm not saying that any of these are going to look bad. It's just their claim that it's going to look just like you remember it. It's not exactly true. Some parts of the windows were painted gray so you could see the individual elements more clearly. Although the second floor kinda. Third floor definitely not. So like I said, I'm going to show you what's supposed to be there if they were going to replicate it exactly with double hung, and what they're putting in instead. But like I said, better this than falling apart. And what they really see here, oh come on. Yeah, I'm pushing the button. I'm pushing the button. It's hard to see, but it's not much to see on the interior. And from what I understood from someone who was talking to construction personnel, is there were a couple of plaster ornaments that were in the front hall of the building, and supposedly they're going to try and put them back on. And people are wondering if the Leominster High School sign will still be there. Well, so far it's still there. I think if they're going for the historical register, then they would have to keep it like that. More concrete block, because they still have the third floor, which they are, loud music, starting with now, because you can see the brick right there. You can see the brick and some framing there. Yeah, so if I recall, I'm going to put what the windows should look like and what they're supposedly putting in, because they say it's going to look exactly like it did before, but it's not gonna. But hey, like I said, it's not going to be bad. The rendition doesn't look too good, but then again, they're using a boarded up building and superimposing stuff, so things were out of skew. Let's go on the other side where everything's really happening. Here we are on the other side. It's a little zoomed in there. And this is the only side that's got all its floors in, including the attic, and has a roof. In fact, the roof is there, sort of, not fully framed in yet. And they are keeping the stairway to heaven. Either that or gonna replace it. It looks kinda rotten. It's seen better days if we turn up the... It's not raining, I'm standing under a tree. And it was raining quite a bit a few hours ago. There's nothing to really see. They still, apparently the strips that they were using to put in the window framing is also going to be part of the drywalling. They haven't done any first stripping on the brick walls yet. We don't need to turn up the brightness for that. We can, well, we'll do it a little bit. And it's refusing to go. All right, there we go. It's hard to see because of the trees, but no fur strips yet. But they did for the windows because they kind of needed that to put the, the rough framing in for them. Now, from what I understand, the windows here are going to be a hybrid of the original and the what was there during the Carter days. Again, I'll probably remember to put that in. So what we're going to need to see, we're going to have to go on the playground where there's a lot of kids playing, which, I don't like, but, we stay on the Carter building side of things, we should be fine. We'll get a better look at this. As you can see, they've extended the stairwell. For a minute, I thought they were cheaping out and just brick veneering it, but now that I see it close, you can see they're going to put new brick around it, similar to the original, and they have so there won't have a brick interior like the rest of the shaft does. The other side will be the same way, and we will be back to show you the attic that they're putting in. Yeah, there's a lot of families here with their kids. I'm not comfortable at the moment, but I think they can see that I'm looking this way and aiming at the building. So as you can see, the attic's getting windows. That just looks weird. You know what? It kind of works. And as you can kind of see, there is a roof. And they're making a full-size window there. They just got to cut the brick. The thing about this is it's really hard to see as I'm... Looks like when they cut out those windows, a lot of the much newer and cleaner masonry and clay just poured out. They must have used a diamond saw to do that. And it just dripped all over everything, and it makes it look like it's not original, but it is. I looked at it. Look up close, you can see the original keyways. And that stayed intact. It just shows you how good these things were, how well these things were built, if we want to talk in appropriate language. And you can kind of see up here, yeah, right there, just above that new window is the deck to the attic level, where 4 apartments will be. And we can see, as we shown earlier, nothing happening in the middle. So wonder if they're gonna tear the steel down as soon as they have all the brick walls supported on the other 3 sides. So with that being said, that's the update of the Carter building, this particular segment. When the windows come in, it's gonna be a lot harder. I'm gonna have to come later. And during the summer, it's gonna be hard because it won't be dark enough to see in. That's the update for now. Stay tuned for the next one. Georgia 551 saying, hope you enjoyed and have a good one.